In the heart of a bustling city, where the sound of clanging weights and the rhythmic beat of sneakers on hardwood floors blended into the soundtrack of daily life, stood Henry's Gym, Strength in Unity. For Henry Thomas, this was more than just a business. It was a labor of love. As a black man who had grown up in a neighborhood where opportunities for fitness and health were scarce, he envisioned a space where community members could feel empowered to transform their bodies and lives. Henry worked tirelessly to ensure that his gym was a welcoming place. He offered scholarships for underprivileged youth, hosted community events, and emphasized the importance of health and fitness, not just as a personal journey but as a collective one. Under his leadership, the once struggling establishment blossomed into a sanctuary for individuals seeking both physical strength and a sense of belonging. But not everyone appreciated Henry's efforts. In the same neighborhood, Leslie Parker, a middle-aged woman with a penchant for entitlement, harbored a bitterness that often manifested in misguided attempts at maintaining the status quo. White, wealthy, and accustomed to privilege, Leslie saw Henry's gym as an infringement on her idea of community. She couldn't understand why a black man should thrive in a space she believed was meant for people like her. One late evening, as Henry prepared to close up the gym after a long day, he noticed a flickering light outside. Peering out the window, he saw Leslie standing there, arms crossed, her face twisted in disdain. She had come to voice her discontent, and he braced himself for the inevitable confrontation. "What are you doing here so late, Henry?" Leslie sneered, her tone dripping with condescension. "Just finishing up some last-minute workouts, Leslie. We're closing earlier than usual this week because of the holiday," Henry replied calmly, choosing his words carefully. Her eyes narrowed. "You shouldn't be here after dark. It's dangerous for someone like you. You really should consider the safety of your members." Henry felt anger boiling underneath the surface but controlled it. "I appreciate your concern, but we take safety seriously here. Besides, everyone knows this neighborhood better than you do." The tension between them crackled in the air. Leslie, feeling threatened by the progress of a black man in business, grasped at the only weapon she had left: fear. "Look, this is my neighborhood. I have every right to call the police if I feel something's off. You should be careful, Henry." With that, she turned on her heels and walked away, but not before dialing 911 and reporting what she claimed was a suspicious man loitering in a gym. Henry watched her as she walked to her car, disbelief mingling with anger. How could someone be so ignorant and so willing to leverage the weight of the law against him simply because of the color of his skin? Moments later, Henry received a notification on his phone. The dispatch from 911 had been recorded. He couldn't believe what he heard. 911, what's your emergency?" the operator asked. "A black man is closing his gym alone at night. It doesn't seem right. Who knows what he's up to? You better send someone to check it out." The disdain in Leslie's voice was unmistakable. She painted a picture of fear that had very little basis in reality but was rooted deeply in her racial bias. Henry sat in silence for a moment, the weight of her words settling in his chest. It wasn't just about him. It was about the many others who had faced prejudice and injustice because of the way they looked. It was a reminder that even in 2023, racism manifested in the most insidious ways, and the color of one's skin could lead to catastrophic consequences. Sirens echoed in the distance, drawing closer as Henry locked the gym doors, preparing for a moment that felt surreal. The police arrived, blue lights flashing, casting an eerie glow that illuminated the gym's exterior. Officers stepped out of their vehicles, looking serious and alert. It was evident they had received a call about a suspicious individual. Henry took a deep breath, reminding himself to remain calm. He opened the door, his heart racing as he greeted the officers. "Good evening, sir. We received a call about a situation here," one of the officers said, his voice firm but not unfriendly. "I understand, officers. I'm Henry Thomas, the owner of the gym. I was just closing up for the night," he explained, maintaining eye contact, trying to convey his sincerity. "Do you have identification on you?" another officer asked, his brow furrowing as he looked Henry up and down. "Of course," Henry replied, reaching into his wallet without hesitation. He handed over his ID, the cards feeling like weights in his hand. The officers exchanged glances, then one slowly returned the identification to him. "We appreciate your cooperation. We'll just check in with the caller." As they walked away, Henry felt a sense of betrayal wash over him. Here he was, a business owner providing for his community, and yet he was subjected to this indignity. He noticed the officers speaking to Leslie across the parking lot, and he could see her animatedly pointing back at him, casting him as the villain in her absurd narrative. Word of the incident spread rapidly through the community like wildfire. Social media lit up, with many residents expressing their outrage over Leslie's actions and support for Henry. Friends, members of his gym, and even strangers rallied to defend him, sharing their stories of times they had faced similar prejudices. "What happened to Henry is unacceptable," a member wrote on Facebook. "We need to support our local businesses and stand against racism in any form." Another post from a nearby resident showcased a video of families exercising outside the gym. "This is what our community is about: strength, unity, and overcoming prejudice. We will not let anyone tear us apart." Henry's phone buzzed with messages of support, invitations to community meetings, and discussions about the incident. He was touched to see people come together, but deep down, he felt a lingering darkness from the confrontation with Leslie. As the news circulated, Leslie's reputation began to unravel. The shock waves of her foolish call rippled through social media, affecting her business as well. Mixed reviews began pouring in, with online comments reflecting the community's outrage. "Leslie Parker is out of touch with reality. Karma will come knocking," one comment read, capturing the essence of a wave of support for Henry while condemning Leslie's actions. Days passed, and Leslie found herself increasingly isolated. Clients began canceling their appointments at her real estate office, and friends she thought would rally around her began to distance themselves. The hashtag Justice for Henry trended locally, and the community's commitment to racial justice was unyielding. Leslie realized that her actions had severed the superficial connections she cultivated for so long. How could she have acted so heinously, so callously? She clung to the hope that the uproar would die down, but every passing day proved her wrong. Meanwhile, Henry channeled the energy from the community into forging new programs and events at his gym. He organized workshops centered around racial equity and inclusivity in fitness, inviting speakers who shared their experiences and educated gym members on the various ways systemic racism persists. Henry's business prospered under the attention, showcasing a united front against ignorance. The gym buzzed with energy as families participated in community fitness nights, sharing laughter and bonding over shared goals. One evening, Henry was preparing for a community meeting when he received a notification on his phone. Leslie had posted a video on her social media account. The title read, "An Apology to My Community." With an eyebrow raised, he played the video. "Hello everyone. I want to address what happened a few weeks ago concerning the incident at Henry's gym," she began, her tone somber. "I made a terrible mistake. My actions were rooted in fear and ignorance, and I truly did not realize the impact they would have. I owe Henry and our community an apology." As she spoke, Henry felt mixed emotions. It was good to hear her acknowledge her wrongdoing, but the sincerity was debatable, and he wondered what her true motivations were. "I hope to learn from this experience. I will be donating a portion of my earnings to strengthen unity and attending workshops to better myself and understand what it means to be anti-racist," she continued. The video elicited a range of reactions. Some viewers applauded her for speaking out and attempting to take responsibility, while others dismissed it as a hollow attempt at saving her career. Henry watched the comments flood in, feeling the weight of each one. "Talk is cheap, Leslie. "We'll see if you actually follow through," one user commented, succinctly voicing the sentiment he sensed among many. The community continued to thrive around strength in unity. Henry decided it was time to take action, not just for himself but for Leslie too. He recognized that harboring hate could be toxic and counterproductive, even if it was justified. He organized a community event, a series of workshops focused on reconciliation and understanding. At the center of it all was an invitation for Leslie to join and participate in discussions about racial equity, sharing this space with those she had wronged. To his surprise, Leslie accepted the request. With the community's backing and Henry's encouragement, they facilitated a conversation that dove deep into the heart of societal biases, exploring experiences of racial injustice and their lasting effects. The dialogue was raw, filled with tears and revelations. For the first time, Leslie confronted her privileges, her ignorance, and the deep-rooted racism that had spewed forth in her initial 911 call. As weeks turned into months, the community moved forward. Leslie transformed, actively engaging with local groups focused on social justice, advocating for racial equity initiatives, and building new ties with Henry and others who had once been marginally affected by her actions. Henry's heart softened as he watched her slowly change before his eyes. They developed a working relationship that paved the way for transformative initiatives, bridging the gap between race and understanding. In time, she became an advocate for the same community she had once tried to undermine. With hard work, strength and unity flourished, reflecting a community transformed. Henry's Gym stood as a testament to resilience, healing, and justice. The narrative surrounding Leslie shifted, with many acknowledging her growth and efforts to amend her past mistake. In a world where ignorance often prevailed, mutual understanding blossomed from the seeds planted through adversity. Henry had turned a painful encounter into a platform for education and reconciliation, proving that when people are willing to face their biases, they can produce a profound change. As he looked around him at the community thriving in solidarity, he felt hope for the future. The strength found in unity was more potent than any prejudice, shaping lives committed to justice, healing, and understanding. And as for karma? It had come full circle, teaching lessons not just to Leslie but to an entire community unwilling to let hate define them. Together, they found strength in their unity.